Everyone, it's Emily Fox. Today's video is going to be my June wrap up. We're going to be talking about all the books that I finished this month, what I thought about them. We're trying to bring some sun in here because it has been pouring rain for the last week, so Emily's wearing her summer outfit or princess outfit. She looks ridiculous. Yay! In June, I finished 9 books, so pretty good. The first one is going to be the one that we read for the Patreon book club, and it is An Unkindness of Ghosts by Rivers Solomon. I had never read anything by this author, and I had heard pretty good things. I also have The Deep by them on my TBR. It's like killer mermaids, which looking forward to reading. But this one is a sci-fi, and we all know I love sci-fi, and I wanted to see what this one was about. All I knew is that the main character was queer, black, and autistic, so great representation for anyone that wants to read more. I had never read a book quite like this. It's very character driven in a spaceship, kind of the remnant of humanity. You're following the main character who is struggling to exist, really, and she wants to become kind of a doctor, and there's a little bit of a mystery kind of about her mother. She kind of just disappeared one day, and you're following your story through that, and it was just way different than expected, quite unique, very enjoyable. Obviously it talks about things like homophobia, racism, class. I feel like whenever I read books with giant ships, it's been kind of so-so, but there were some really interesting twists in this one. I appreciated how they mentioned that different levels were not just, you know, race and class, but also people spoke different languages, which why do they not do that every time that I read a book or watch a movie with that kind of topic? They always just speak the same language. So that was an interesting difference in this one. The ending was so-so, but I did really enjoy some side characters. There's one of her friend who has a mental illness, which is also something that you don't see enough with these kind of topics. So if you're looking for a very different character-driven sci-fi, I would recommend this one. The ending is not my favorite part, but overall enjoyable. So we're starting over with that book facing backward because no. I'm going to go in order of the books that I have read them throughout the month. So the first one was Long Bright River, which I think is part of my Goodreads reading challenge. It is a like mystery thriller, or so it says when you pick it up, but it's like 80% family drama and 20% murder mystery. You're following this woman, and she's a cop, and she's trying to figure out who murdered X person. But she's also going through a lot in her personal life with her son, with her sister who is a drug addict, and things happen. I'm going to keep it vague because it's very much character driven. And it's not a bad book. It's just, again, miscategorized, and the fact that I am not someone that really cares that much about family dramas unless they're like really fantastic. So, which is subjective, but still. A little bit forgettable. Not a bad book, just a bit forgettable. The next book that I finished was an audiobook that is All Boys Aren't Blue, which great audiobook narrated by the author. I always prefer whenever it's like that. It's kind of a nonfiction about his life story coming out, and also representation. I realized that I don't read a ton of books written by queer black men, so I feel like that was a good gap to fill, especially June, Pride Month, right? And he wrote the book to give more representation to other kids like him. And I appreciated how, for once, I feel like it's a supportive family, which is something we don't see a ton of, which obviously the other ones are also super valid, but own voices with a supportive family is something that I feel like more people need to see and know that it can exist. And I enjoyed it overall. It's a bit short. It's about 6 hours, which I feel like it's the case with a lot of these nonfictions. And some chapters were like, there's a specific one I have in mind that is more him thanking his family, which is obviously important for him, and that's fine. The rest of the book also includes some of that, which I liked, but I feel like that chapter was a bit pointless for the book. However, great story, enjoyed it, do recommend it if you are looking to read more nonfiction. Definitely something that I understand the hype. I feel like if I had to categorize it, I would say probably more YA, but again, that's definitely what the author wanted. Then I read 1,000 Splendid Suns, which you guys wanted me to do after reading The Kite Runner. And I wasn't ready. You had warned me, but I still wasn't ready. I didn't cry, but it definitely broke my heart. You're following two young women who are forced to marry this man who isn't really a nice person. And it's obviously using that to discuss some topics like child brides and obviously domestic violence and just some tough topics. Same as his other book, it's also happening in Afghanistan. So there's a little bit of like politics in there, just the war and how it's affecting them. And it's a very hard book to go through, although I do think it's worth it. The author wrote the characters beautifully, the writing is great, and it was perfect as an audiobook. I feel listening to it was great because there are a few, I think Arabic words throughout the book, and it was nice to just listen to them out loud. And my poor heart, honestly, like, I don't even know what else to say. It's just something that will touch you, and I would give it maybe 4.5 stars. It was great. It was definitely great. We'll be reading more from the author, although he hasn't published something in a while, but I think there's at least one more book by him that I have yet to read, so we'll do that eventually when I'm ready. The next book, I ultimately tried to vlog it, but it's not going to go up. Let me talk about it. The Princess Bride. I had never read this book, which is what was the theme for the vlog. I wanted to try and read more books that I have had on my shelf sometimes for a while, or just really popular ones that I want to know how I personally feel about them, because you never know. And I was curious how I was going to feel about that one because everyone seems to love it. I think it's because people grew up watching the movie. Is that possible? I only watched like 10 minutes of the movie because I enjoyed parts of this book a lot, and other parts really confused me. The vlog, essentially the first half, is me being confused because the double narration, I had no idea what was, I didn't understand what was going on. The first like intro, super pointless. I feel like it definitely was not interesting to me, but then the actual story starts, which was great. I feel like if this book had been like, instead of 450 pages, if it had been 200 pages and you cut off that double narration, I would have probably overall really enjoyed this book. Yes, it's kind of written as a children's book. I'm assuming it is because it's the narration is like being told, the story being told to kids. But I didn't want to vlog it because I didn't want to bash it, because it felt kind of boring to bash because it was just mostly confusion, not that it's badly written. But that's how I feel about it. So I think I'm gonna give it like a 3 stars, but I'm just so confused about this book because even now, I'm not 100% sure, is it double narration? Am I imagining things? Did I just not understand this book? But the story about Buttercup and, you know, her true love, that was fun. I enjoyed it, and I'm not even someone that really loves children's stories, but this one was overall good. Just, what was going on? So yeah, that was a confusing couple of days. Next, I finished Vanishing Half, which is part of my Goodreads reading challenge. This was the winner in the historical fiction category. And I haven't been super lucky with the winners, the Goodreads winners in certain categories, including historical fiction, but I ended up actually really enjoying it. You're following the story of twin sisters who are mixed race. One of them is white passing and one isn't, and you're following their life stories, and at one point they're just diverging, and I'm not going to spoil anything because it's very character driven, but one of them decides to, well, the white passing one decides to live her life as a white woman, and you see how it goes for them. And it's a really sad story, but really interesting, and I did listen to that one also as an audiobook, which was great, and I do recommend it. I think it was well written, and I really care for the characters, so if you are looking for more, would recommend it. I think I would give it maybe 4 stars. Solid read. Really not something that is usually my cup of tea, but that one was definitely worth the hype. The next book, I have filmed a vlog, but I had issues with editing, so it's going up right after this video, but it's still worth watching because I'm showing you my house, and I'm also showing you some books on my shelf on that team, which is Magical Schools, which some of you also really love that team. So I'm showing you basically some of the ones that I have on my shelf that I want to read, or some recommendations of the ones that I've liked. So if you are someone that is nosy and you want to see my house and my bookshelves, check out the vlog. But the books, I chose 2 different ones to read. Well, you kind of helped me in my TBR. The first one was The Magician's Guild by Trudy Canavan. I had this on my shelf for a long time. It was recommended to me a few years ago whenever I did mention that I like magical schools, and this is a YA fantasy, obviously, book. You're following this girl who kind of finds out that she has magical powers. My biggest issue with this book is that the first more than half is her hiding from the magician, the guild. I feel like it could have been shortened to like 100 pages max. Like, it did not need to be like 250 pages. It was just not necessary. So it makes the book feel a little bit like a prologue, which is so common with like older, it's not super old, but like older YA fantasy books. Like, think about like really popular ones like Shatter Me, great example of that too. The whole book is a prologue to the series. And I feel like, no, don't make me buy 50 books. Just like squish them a bit and make it better. I did overall like the like mystery that is part of it, and the magic system seems interesting, but I wanted to see more about the guild, but it's kind of hard whenever she's hiding for half the book. So yeah, overall not a bad book. I would probably give it like 3.25 stars. It's just that's a pet peeve of mine, so it kind of ruined my enjoyment a little bit. I'm curious to hear what you guys think of the rest of the series, if it's worth picking up. I feel like I would have enjoyed it more if it had been like 12 when I read it, but it's becoming more and more the case with a lot of YA books. Not all of them, though, because I'm thinking Brandon Sanderson, the Skyward series is great, and it's YA. Anyway, not bad, just, you know. The next book, I am hiding that ugly ass cover. Look at the UK edition. Every single Brandon Sanderson's book has a better cover in the UK edition. But the only thing is this one kind of looks adult, which it's definitely YA or even middle grade. Let me show you actually what this one looks like. Definitely looks more like YA middle grade, huh? Also Magical School. This one, because Brandon Sanderson, obviously great world building and a great magic system. This one, I'm going to try to describe it. It's basically people have to draw, people that do have magical power, and they draw circles around themselves to defend themselves, and then they attack each other with, where do you have that? Like either lines, or they can draw like little soldiers that are going to go and attack them. So they can duel, but there's also like wild Chalkings attacking them at the border. So it's an interesting world building. My issue with it is that it reads middle grade. Like the main character is 16, but he reads like he's 12, which was my main issue with the book. But overall, the magic system, like I said, was interesting. There's a like murder mystery. Someone is murdering some of the students. So the main character is trying to figure out what's going on. He's not someone that has magical powers, although he wishes he did. And yeah, overall, solid story. Also something that I think I would have enjoyed more as a teenager. The only thing is that the next books, when will they come out? It's supposed to be, I think, a trilogy, but Brandon Sanderson has no idea when he's going to come out with the next book, which I don't blame him, because that's probably like one of my least favorite book that I've read by him. Still pretty solid, just that some of the other ones are like easy 5 stars, and everyone is dying to read the next one, so this isn't, you know, a priority. But if I were like, again, 12 and the rest of the series was out, I would definitely continue reading the series. I might still, depending when it comes out, but not a bad book, just, you know, it has its little issues, and it's kind of hard to describe it more without ruining the book. But in my head, he's definitely 12. He's not 16. Last but not least, I finished this audiobook today as I was getting ready. I didn't think I would have time, so I included it in my TBR for July, but nope, finished it in June. It is The Night Swim, which is also part actually of my Goodreads reading challenge, which I ended up enjoying it a lot more than I thought. I was told to listen to it as an audiobook, which, yes, you were right, because half the story is told like part of a podcast. The main character has a podcast, a murder mystery podcast, and yeah, definitely more enjoyable listening to it than reading it, I'm sure. And you're following her as she's doing like her third season on her podcast, and she's going to a court case, basically a alleged rape between like a teenage girl and a teenage boy who is a popular, famous for his little town swimmer. And you're following the court case, but there's also like a murder mystery from like 25 years prior in the same town happening that she's like learning more about. And yes, I'm gonna keep it vague because it's not super action-packed, but this was so much better than I expected. Not that I knew anything about it, but I feel like it's been so hit and miss, I feel like, with a lot of like recent mystery thrillers. And this one was great. And like I said, if you do enjoy audiobooks, would recommend that, because for the podcast, it was perfect as a format, as an audiobook. So yes, I would give this 4 stars. Definitely a pretty solid read. It wasn't a stressful murder mystery thriller, you know? I feel like sometimes I do enjoy the ones that keep you awake till you're 3 a.m. and just, you know, but sometimes I just want like not that it was relaxing, because obviously it's a hard topic, but it was pretty chill as an audiobook because, again, of the podcast format. So would recommend it if you are looking for more. So that's going to be it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Thumbs up, subscribe. I will be putting more videos on the screen that I recommend you check out. And I'm going to go chill with Emily with her princess. So we'll see you in the next video. Bye.